Metro Louisville is made up of 26 districts. This podcast gives you a chance to connect with your council member and learn about what's going down in your district. Welcome everyone to District Download. Today I am joined by Councilwoman Donna Purvis. Thank you so much for joining us on this.
Thank you for having me.
I'm very excited for this episode. I think we have some really good topics that we've all kind of been discussing in advance, getting some gears going in our brains. So first, though, Councilwoman, with this podcast, we've started each episode with kind of an introduction so everyone can get to know the council person that's kind of hosting this episode. So let's go ahead and start. What is your district?
I represent District 5, which is Chickasaw, Shawnee, Portland, and Russell.
Okay. And how long have you been on Metro Council now?
I am in my 4th year.
What was your passion to become a council member? Why was it important to you in District 5 to do this?
Right. I live in District 5. I'm very passionate about the community in hopes of changing it to improve the quality of life for those that live in the district. So I love serving people. I like the end results of serving people, even if it's just calling me and saying, there's trash dumped in the back of my house. I like knowing that I can take care of that. I can get that done. I like knowing that if someone is in need of something that they cannot get themselves, or if they don't have the control to have themselves, I like knowing that I can make a difference and do that.
On that topic, you have, I know, a few passions that we've talked about since I've been able to join with Metro Council. One of them is part of your topic for your episode today, health equity. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay.
Go ahead and introduce your guest, and let's get this rolling.
So today we have with us, if I may say, Dr. Patton with Norton Healthcare. And it's important that we have him here as our guest today. As some of you all may know, by the time this will air, I would have had a clinic offering mammograms and a woman's well check. And the reason why that was important to me is because health equity is a huge focus in my district. And I wanted to make this a Mother's Day gift. Want to give the gift of life. We focus on breast cancer awareness in the month of October, but we have breast cancer diagnosis every day of the year. So I wanted to take this opportunity where there was less focus on breast cancer, but at least know that there is a need for the screening. So with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Patton if he wants to share any tips on what I am doing and why it is necessary to be aggressive and diligent about seeking health care, quality health care, equity health care.
Thank you. I would love to, and I appreciate being on the show today. It's a pleasure. I guess I would like to get started on exactly what is health equity. And to me, what health equity really means is making sure that everyone has the optimum potential for their maximum health. And a lot of the limiting factors to that, regardless of, age, gender, race, or now even zip code. Zip code plays a very important role in all of this as well. So by addressing this first, in order to make a change, you have to address and acknowledge that it needs to happen. And to your point, Councilwoman, even in the west end of Louisville, we are that population is leading in cancer, stroke, and heart disease. So those are some major factors. But what's more enlightening or on the positive side of that is that this can be prevented with the screenings and granting those access to care and doing things and making movements like you're doing by saying it's not just about the month, it's about the entire year, lifetime, because those changes are going to take a while to even get situated. And I hate to just name off stats. I always like to go into the root of some things of why the health inequities are present. If you look at the map of Louisville, I know you're familiar with this. I know you're from Louisville, but a lot of the West End was really distraught and put in place with the redlining. And for those who aren't familiar with redlining, it was some policies that were put in place to more so towards African Americans that only allowed them to have certain lenders or only to live in certain areas. And it was kind of meant to keep them more in a impoverished state per se when it initially occurred.
Can I add to that?
Yes, please.
It focused on a concentrated area of those that live in disparity. And it's almost like being second-class citizens. The policies were created to adversely affect the people in these areas. And I'm one of those people. So this is why it's important for me to have a voice and to bring awareness to such items. And you're absolutely correct in identifying that and saying so. Thank you.
And like I said, thank you for all that you do. And this is actually one of the main reasons that I'm honored to be with Norton Healthcare. I am one of the medical directors for community outreach. I have colleagues, Dr. Crystal Narcisse and Dr. Maria Noda. Also, I'm under the lead of Dr. Kelly McCants, who's the main director of the Institute of Health Equity, Maya Rock and Tiffany Graves. They've all been great. And of course, you have to give notice to all the leadership in Norton for even allowing the Institute of Health Equity to be present. Now, it's located on 12th and Jefferson, or the Village in Jefferson, in the Russell neighborhood. And one of the strategic plannings of putting it there was to actually grant access to care and preventable services. The Institute has mental health, virtual access for mental health assessments, social work, meeting hubs, along with the Village in general, which is just great to help people get back on their feet and empower those who have been disadvantaged for so long. And the reason I brought that up is because, like we were saying before, in those areas that were initially targeted by redlining, if you look at those areas, those same areas are the same areas that we're seeing this lead in cancer and this lead in heart disease and lead in stroke. Matter of fact, if you look in the Russell neighborhood, right, and if we look over maybe on the in Cherokee Park area, which are on opposite ends, there's almost at least a 9-year life expectancy difference just based upon your zip code, right? How does that make you feel, just thinking where you were born at? That just takes away the years of your life. Yeah. If you aren't aware of, or like I said, we have to bring that acknowledgement and let people know the importance of getting screened and going to a primary care regularly, right? And so when we're thinking about the past and how it affects the future, I always think of it could be like a nuclear bomb, because the bomb is no longer there, but the radiation is still occurring, correct? Mm-hmm. And those policies are redlining. It's illegal now, right? But those same areas and hubs are still seeing the destruction from that, or that radiation.
The damage is still there.
Yes. Yeah. I wanted to also talk about the other initiatives that Norton Healthcare has done in the city. Some of the major causes is they put another primary care office off in the YMCA off of 18th and Broadway, which has been big, huge. It was really helped out along with the vaccination protocol and getting people screened. Yeah. I'm very excited about the mobile units, like you were saying, to go out there and get screenings and preventative measures done. Prostate cancer screening, advanced breast mammograms, cholesterol, diabetes screening. So that's something that's very important. Also, some of the larger news that I'm very excited about is the Opportunity Center that they've partnered with Goodwill. Over $70 million hospital is going to be on 28th and Broadway.
And the jobs.
And the jobs. Yes. I mean, the access to care.
Yes.
And bringing that income into those communities and creating over those 200 different jobs and construction and long-term salaries so people can feed their family in this area where the average income was around $22,000, and looking at those jobs and those incomes are averaging at least $50,000, $60,000. That's going to make a tremendous impact, because I know one of the other side effects from the past is a lot of people in those areas were caught in situations where they have entry-level jobs, and entry-level jobs means you don't get time off for vacation. You may not have time for a retirement fund. You may not be able to get insurance. So those costs to go to a primary care doctor might seem phenomenal. You might wait until it's too late to you have that official diagnosis of cancer. So bringing that and stimulating that economy in this area is going to make such a huge impact. Not only that, but just having that access in general, because a lot of people in the West End, as far as transportation, what I'm getting into now is like the social determinants of health, right? Housing, transportation, neighborhood development. These are all crucial factors. And if I told you to break it down into a simple science experiment, we will say, if I put vinegar and some baking soda into the volcano, we expect that volcano to explode, right? And no one would be surprised if that happened. If the before it got messy, we're like, well, we knew what would happen. Now, if I'm putting in an impoverished area and not crime risk, because that's actually a side effect too, but impoverished area, poor health, decreased education in these areas, not knowledge about their own health in general, and also that it's still that you're still kind of what I'm trying to say is isolation. And isolation, you put all those together, what do you expect to see? Those increased risk in health and increased violence. And it's not necessarily about what demographics are in that area. It's just when you combine all that together, that's the result you're going to see, right? So I'm glad that we're disrupting that now. We're acknowledging, hey, if you mix these two together, that's going to happen. Let's try to take some of these ingredients away and add something in different to make that difference and make that change. So I'm very excited to see how that all plays out. They have OB-GYNs, endocrinology, cardiologists, primary care, pediatrics. They have an ER. But I still want you guys to go to the primary care doctor if you can. Overutilization of the ER is definitely a problem, but it would be there.
Stop using the ER as your doctor.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, please. But just some of those things are hitting home to me. I'm also a family medicine physician, and I also work with the urgent care. So I see a wide variety of patients of different ages and different demographics, and I really care about the people too. And something that my mother taught me, just a quick backstory. My mother, at a young age, she was diagnosed with a inflammation of her muscles. So it didn't allow her to move and walk for quite a long time. And I saw her through the process of going through physical therapy every day, and she never really complained. I saw times I had to help her off the couch or climb a stair, or sometimes she couldn't even pick up her foot to clear the curb, but she kept pushing through, and every step mattered. And it was to a point where she can finally, I see her today, and she's able to walk and go up these stairs. And what it taught me was the definition of success does not have to come from the purge of the antagonist, but it's the progression towards one's goals despite the presence of hindrance. And to me, that means things are going to be difficult, and it's going to take a long time. It's about the marathon, right? It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. But those changes, every change matters. Every person that we affect, every ingredient we take out of that active volcano will make a difference. And we may not be able to see it in our time, but that change would definitely be there. And so I'm just really excited for the opportunity to be here and just discuss this matter with you, because like you said, this is something that definitely needs to be on the table, and letting everyone know who has that heart and who wants to make a difference in their community, keep doing it. every drop matters. Every heartfelt commitment matters today, and continue the good work.
With partners like Norton's and Parks, what you all are doing, I feel like there's hope, and knowing that help is on the way. And so for our community not to give up, please be patient. Please understand that we hear you. We know what your needs are. We know what your concerns are. We're trying our best to address them. So thanks again. Norton's is really, really doing it. Who would have ever thought we'd have a hospital in the West End?
150 years since we last had one.
Wow. Yeah. So thank you so much. And the jobs, I just, get chills thinking that somebody can go there and get a job, and that job is going to be a creation for wealth building. They're going to be a homeowner. They're going to be able to take care of their children. They're going to be able to send their children to college because they work in their neighborhood. And they won't have to spend as much money on gas. So, again, my heart and appreciation really goes out to Norton's. So thank you again. Thank you so much. So with what we've discussed about health equity, we know that there are some root causes for poor health. So this is when I think it's time to talk to Bennett Knox here with the Parks Department. Bennett is behind a project that can really help prevent a lot of these issues when we talk about our lifestyles and our activities and the what we lack as far as being physical. We have become, what would you call it, segmented or what have you. We need to get out more. We need to be active. We need to be interested in being active. Then we won't have these high numbers of A1C, cholesterol, if we take the time to enjoy nature. When you enjoy nature, you have to walk, you have to climb, you have to swim. And so all of these things, if introduced to us at an early age and it becomes a lifestyle and a habit, then these numbers will start to go down and our community as a whole will become a whole lot more healthier. So can you talk to us about the project that you're working on?
Well, sure. I so appreciate being here, Councilman Purvis. And just to follow the doctor here, because a lot of what he has talked about really tees up this project in particular, because it is focused and has been from the beginning on health equity, mentioning some of the root cause issues and even the redlining, which points to a lack of investment in the community that has had repercussions moving forward. And so this project for us, it's called the West Louisville Outdoor Recreation Initiative. So it's a Metro Parks, Metro Louisville initiative to try to increase equitable access to nature. So we got to kind of break that down a little bit. What is that? Don't we all have equitable access to nature? Can't you go back and in your backyard and just experience it like anybody? And that's really not the case. And so when we look at West Louisville and even parts of other parts of our community as well, it's not just limited to West Louisville. There has been a lack of investment in certain kinds of infrastructure, certain kinds of programming that other parts of town have had to a more or less degree. And so in West Louisville, what we noticed, so I'm based out at Jefferson Memorial Forest, which is a place that has a lot of nature and blessed to have it out there in the community, serving the whole community, but really primarily serving South Louisville. And so we've been the location that's done most of Metro Parks outdoor recreation programming, adventure-based programming, that kind of thing. And so I've been here 20 years, and we noticed early on that kind of programming wasn't happening everywhere, and so you have to ask yourself why. And so when you look at West Louisville and some of the history, as you know, there used to be boat ramps and access to the river decades ago, and that was disinvestment, and we can say how that happened, why it happened, but it was disinvestment that allowed those ramps and access points to go away. And then the the different types of programming that we do. So the types of programming that we do, the outdoor education, the nature-based programming, we were always asking kids to come out to us. Well, not everybody can come out to you. If they can, if they're in school and if there's funding for field trips, that can happen. But if that's not the case, it may not be something that people just think to do and have access to do. So then you ask, well, are those opportunities in their backyard? Can they do those things feasibly? And so for a number of reasons, that's not been the case in West Louisville. There has not been, and some of these things, culturally, there's been a discussion about who's nature for, and I think we can put that to bed. Nature's for everybody. There's plenty of groups today, African American groups around the country, Hispanic groups around the country, Latino groups around the country, that have just really taken ownership of the outdoors is for us as much as anybody. So we got to embrace that right off the bat, and so. The fact is, there aren't things like, and haven't been, hiking trails in West Louisville, although there are just wonderful assets, park assets, where those kind of amenities could be developed. So we talk about the boat ramps, we talk about trails, we can talk about Chickasaw Pond, which is the only, major pond in West Louisville. There's one Watterson Lake, but that was kind of it's not really right in West Louisville proper. It's a little bit on the edge over near Shavli. But, Chickasaw Pond, and that's at Chickasaw Park. That's one of the major parks that's beloved by members of the community, and has had a situation where the pond has been considered contaminated and not safe for use for fishing. Don't eat the fish. The sign's been there for 25 years. And so that is a big deterrent to encouraging folks to use what's right in their backyard. So you can't really use it. So the grandfather can't teach the granddaughter how to fish. You don't get to go sit with your family on a Sunday and really enjoy it and dip your feet in the water and feel comfortable about doing that like you may be able to do elsewhere. So that's the type of issue we're dealing with. I think it's essentially connected to redlining in some ways, I think. You could say that. I'm not an expert there, but so that's kind of the background. When we talk about health equity, you talk about what are the root causes, and Dr. teed up a lot, and we can talk some of the ones that are kind of in the parks realm. We're talking about built environment. We're talking about quality of the environment. We're talking about social cohesion through programming. And so those have been the things that we've explored through this program. So back to what it is. So what we're trying to, go ahead.
So I want to ask you about the proposed outdoor learning center in Shawnee Park. Is there any other like that in the county?
Great question. So there are. We have a number in the community that, that's Shawnee Outdoor Learning Center is certainly going to be a world-class facility, but there are other similar facilities. We have an environmental education center out of Jefferson Memorial Forest. Parklands of Floyd's Fork has their Gaines Center. You've got the Louisville Nature Center right over by the zoo. You've got the zoo itself. But it would be the first in West Louisville. And the point being on the center is it builds upon the other infrastructure investments that we're talking about and the programming that Parks has been growing for the past decade called Louisville Echo, Louisville's Engaging Children Outdoors. So we're, another social determinant of health is just jobs. So you mentioned that pretty heavily about what the Norton facility means in terms of jobs. But this Shawnee Outdoor Learning Center is important for that too, in terms of creating opportunities for members of West Louisville, whether it be young adults, or youth that come through our programming to take the jobs, the leadership jobs, in doing outdoor recreation education, creating those opportunities for youth, serving as mentors to other youth, so that maybe those kids don't take the job at the center, but maybe they find out that they love landscape architecture. Those are high-paying jobs. Maybe they find out that they love environmental engineering and want to be the next air quality specialist that solves our issues in our community in that regard. Maybe they just want to be a photographer of nature, and that's a whole another world that nature and access to nature can create. If we can create those opportunities for kids to not have a one-time experience, but really make that connection because they've had experience from. And for us, the type of program we're doing, it's early childhood nature exploration, it's in-school field trips, it's out-of-school time programming to give kids an opportunity to do something safe in the evenings, outdoors, get healthy, explore, be adventurous, test your limits to the extent you want to with canoeing, archery, fishing, hiking, backpacking, all those things. And then just to have job opportunities in the summer, which is another part of the component. So the center itself is designed to create those opportunities using the infrastructure that we're creating, which are the trails, the boat ramp, the improvements to Chickasaw Pond, which was now funded, I think. Well, potentially, I think you all have a vote to take, but we're very proud that was in the mayor's recommended ARPA funding. So excited to maybe see the issue at Chickasaw Pond resolved. And then all those things now are building towards just what's inevitable, which is having this center in Shawnee Park to make those opportunities a reality.
So I know it's going to be called the Shawnee Outdoor Learning Center. So can you talk about the facility itself? It's called the Outdoor Learning Center, but there are also indoor activities as well. And can you talk about the purpose of the indoor part, what it can be used for, what will go on inside of the facility?
Sure. So the planning process for that really has taken a number of years, involved a lot of community stakeholders and then just other stakeholders as well in terms of what it could be structurally and how it might best serve the community. So we got feedback through that process that, not only did you want it to be the outdoor learning center to have staff offices that the folks could then be doing programming out in the community, basically our staff at Parks as part of the Natural Resources Division, but also to have the ability for residents to come and experience the building as kind of a park. So it has interior access to an upper rooftop terrace, which will be open to the public. We heard that folks want to connect to the river, and so we don't want to come in and take out all the trees and create a vista that way. But this building itself will have a roof that's going to cantilever out over towards the river, and we'll have an opportunity for folks to sit and in a peaceful, it's a green roof environment, and have overlooks of the river right there in tree canopy level. So that's pretty exciting.
Wow.
It has elements of climbing. That's something through the events we've done over the years. We wanted to be able to bring that kind of element to West Louisville. So it has an interior climbing wall and an exterior kind of climbing / rappelling wall. So those are kind of areas that we can have public access. We can also do reserve programming. So there's opportunities maybe to have a concessionaire operate those. Just opportunities for revenue generation potentially, but a lot of our ECHO programming is free. So there's that element of free programming that's grant funded, subsidized by Parks, and then also some fee-based opportunities, which includes there is a classroom inside that can be converted to community space. So it's kind of a segmentable large room, and so we can, we know there are a number of spaces in West Louisville where you can do things like weddings and have those kind of large gatherings, but this center will also serve as a space where we can have maybe environment connected opportunities for the community. So whether that be a Boy Scout, Girl Scout, church group wanting to have a training or a session in the building that's related to the environment or not, but we're trying to make it the outdoor learning center. So or it could be that we have a conference related to health equity or environmental issues in the building, or even if somebody wants to rent it for a wedding reception, those are things can do. We can combine that with opportunities on the rooftop terrace, things like that, to generate revenue.
Yeah, so sustainability is important, and that's what I was going to ask you. How you looking to bring revenue there, and this. I mean, wow. I'm sorry, I'm already married. I would my wedding there, my reception there, on top of the rooftop, looking at the stars at night. Or okay, all right, too late for that. But no, it sounds like a great facility. Will this operate year round?
Most definitely. I mean, we're doing programming year round. I think when we get into the very coldest months, that's tough. But we're generally going all the way into December. Kentucky weather, so you can have good days all year round. And there's plenty to see in the wintertime. You just have to know what to look for. So it's definitely envisioned to be a year-round facility, 100%.
You all have like a little, I don't know, bookstore or gift shop inside there, especially when kids are doing field trips. Some of the places you can go to, they have little gift shops. You can buy postcards or little trinkets.
It's possible there is a lobby that will have a place where folks can come in and definitely get information. That's part of it is some of the interpretive amenities that it'll have as well. We're also talking about having there is a space for a gallery, for like an art gallery that could be focused on nature photography. Maybe honor. We're looking for this. Maybe honor some of our Westwood photographers that deserve to be honored in a big way. Who love nature.
Dorsey.
I think you've got it. And so we would love to be able to do that and just have this center be an expression of what residents want out of nature in their community. And so that's the big theme, is who's going to lead the facility. And so we're working very hard with the programming aspect to develop pathways for youth to get into this field. And we're trying to create space within our department, certainly within our division, to be able to have kids have an opportunity, if they love nature, to have a job opportunity, whether it be a summer camp counselor. And by the way, we've been, if you go to our website, memorialforest.com, we've got job opportunities constantly. So if you are interested in that kind of career, please go to our website and look at the opportunities we have, which are also coming up constantly.
Okay, thank you. I know this is something that you've been working on for a few years, and I know you have a lot of passion involved in this, so I just hope and pray that everything works out and that this can be an added plus to the boat ramp that now exists. So thank you so much for working hard to make this difference in the West End, and particularly in District 5 and Shawnee Park.
Well, thank you for the opportunity, and I love the connection here to what the doctor was talking about earlier. I mean, I really appreciate the opportunity to come talk about health equity and how this fits into the broader community goals that we have.
Yes.
And share.
It's exciting.
Absolutely. Thank you. You all have any questions for me?
Well, I don't know. I just decided we're going to get you in a canoe at some point soon.
Hold on. No, wait 1 minute.
We'll schedule this.
Yeah, everybody will be down there to record that, won't you? I saw that canoe when I was there a few weeks ago on Nature Day, and I'm like, oh no, my waist is wider than that canoe.
Canoeing is fun. I'll just put my 2 cents in
I
there.
probably
So
should-
I'm
hold on.
voting for this
I
one.
probably should not have said that, because Dr. Patton was like, oh, we're getting ready to do something about that. Right? No. If I hang out with him for a while, my numbers will go down and I'll be all right. Bennett, why can't we just walk around?
well, okay, we can do that too.
But I have to ask you a question. Are you scared of snakes?
Me personally,
Yes.
Are they my favorite thing sometimes? I like snakes, spiders. My daughter doesn't like spiders. I tried my best to get her to love insects, and that's the one failure I have. But no, I don't think I'm afraid of snakes. I love snakes. I think we all need to love snakes. I hate it when I hear somebody say they killed a snake. They have something.
Bennett, are you serious?
I am serious. They have a great ecological
Why?
role.
Can you just make sense? Make it make sense to me.
They eat other animals that maybe are considered undesirable,
Like
rodents,
rats?
and rats and things like that. Yeah. True. And they're kind of everywhere. They don't really want to bother you if you don't bother them. I think it's kind of a.
Yeah, but they make you bother yourself.
I can say I've been at Jefferson Memorial Forest for over 20 years, and rarely have I seen one out on a trail, or they do like to keep hidden from us.
So if you see one, how do you react?
I guess I'll tell you a story. When I was a kid, I grew up on a farm, and I did have a black snake fall out of a tree right near me. That did kind of scare. I was pretty little at that point. So, but I don't know. He just slipped and fell. I guess I had to cut him some slack, I guess.
Okay. All right. Well, trust me. If I go on a nature hike, you will be with me. I see a snake.
Well, can I give a little plug on an upcoming event in in Shawnee? So we are looking to have Westwood Appreciation Days. We're going to, like we've been doing, have our presence there, and so we're looking to have canoeing and some of the other activities that we normally do. But this year, we're planning to unveil the new hiking trail in Shawnee Park, which is in the old Fountain Ferry amusement park area. So I think we're on track right now to do that. We're recruiting SummerWorks youth to be a part of that, so they can help build the trail. So that's another job opportunity for youth this summer. And so, yeah, I think it's the 27th or 28th of, it's the last Saturday in July this year.
Just
So,
let me
so we
know.
can have a guided hike, and hope you'll join us for that.
Let me know, and I'll try my best, God's will, to be there. And you mentioned Fountain Ferry, and I'm thinking back to Chickasaw Park. Do you all know that there was an amusement park in there,
And
Chickasaw Park?
I didn't.
I did not know that.
Yeah, you know that's all river based. I think it was like in the 20s. So I'm thinking like the neighborhood that I lived in, maybe that was part of it because I think my neighborhood was developed like in the 30s. So there was an amusement, Google it. There was an amusement park in Chickasaw Park, and it looked like a nice size one.
Well, we certainly are trying to honor the history, which is complicated with Fountain Ferry by putting in this trail. So we're working right now on some interpretive signage that you know, right now there is, I don't believe there's an interpretive sign on the history of that amusement park. You know, once segregated.
Yeah.
And so, you know, there's still some remnant features in the woodland there that we're hoping to incorporate in. And so this trail will we'll kind of bring that back to life a little bit, we're hoping. So people
There's
can
a lot of history in that neighborhood. A lot of history. So, yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, Doctor?
I was going to say, I was curious actually for Dr. Patton's kind of reaction to hearing some of this. I think it's been fun actually seeing both of you here. We thought it through, but this actually worked out better than we thought it through and kind of how everything's connected. So what's been your reaction listening to all of this?
Yeah, so me personally, I'm an outdoors guy. I like horseback riding, kayaking, hiking. So all of this is very exciting, and I'm sure people in the area would definitely enjoy it too. I remember you made a remark about how it all ties in with the red lion and everything. But yeah, if it, also on the map, if you look at the amount of canopy in the area is a little lower, and the amount of pollution in these areas are higher. So by starting to revitalize and getting the area and the environment correct and letting people get back outside to enjoy some of these activities would be great. Now, as far as the snakes and spider thing, now I call it intelligent retreat. We just want to be in the same spot at the same time.
Yeah.
But I let them live because, like you said, they're good for the environment. I just won't share a boat with them. So if you see me swimming, I thought he was kayaking. I don't know. That's what happened.
Years ago, we used to have what was called Dude Ranch down there. You remember?
That's right.
With horses. And I think that's where the new neighborhood is, the Fountain Landing, the beautiful neighborhood that overlooks the golf course. So will there be horseback riding?
That's a great question. We did look at that, and I think the amount of trail potential for that is limited. But some of the events we've had, we've brought out horses, and certainly think that's a programming element that can be accomplished. We've done it already, and it is interesting to hear neighbors talk about their history and what they remember doing as a child, and so we're bringing back some of those things. Camping is something that, while we probably would not have a reserve campsite there, we are talking to folks, and we have done it already with the group Outdoor Afro a number of years ago, where there was an organized camp out event in Shawnee Park. So, we're trying to bring back the full range of outdoor experiences, and part of that is just the assets are there. Good. I think I've heard good bones is what they say, but we have a pretty decent stretch of woodlands all the way from Chickasaw all the way around to downtown. Really, if you think about the Louisville Loop that way as a connector, so plenty of opportunities.
I think all of this is good stuff. The hospital, the outdoor nature learning center, I think all of this is good stuff for the community. So I'm excited. And I want to say again, thank you so much for taking the time to invest in what is needed in a very disadvantaged area. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman.
Everyone for being here. I think this was a really great discussion, and I hope we hear some feedback from people, and I hope we can also keep posted on a lot of these projects and hopefully have a good update later on.
Let's hope so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I want to say one thing.
Yes.
I'd rather pay for the pound of a pumpkin seed than the pound of the pumpkin, right? And that's what I'm talking about, preventative measures. So everything he's saying, exercise, staying active, screenings, those are all, I'd rather pay for the pound of the pumpkin seed than letting those get real big and pay for the pound of the pumpkin. So prevention is the key, and they are giving us some great ways to do that. So,
Great.
yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.